Welcome to the Impact Lounge. Feel the sound. Legends in the ring making moves all around. We got the fire, the heart, the stories untold. This is our moment. Watch the magic unfold. Welcome to the Impact Lounge, where we reign. Kings and queens of the ring breaking chains. We taking wrestling to a whole new height. Under bright lights, we ignite the fight. Genesis to rebellion. The crowd still chanting.
All right, what's up, jobbers? It is your boy BQ. This is the Negative BQ YouTube channel. This is your Slammiversary review for 2025. Thanks for swinging by as always. I always get a lot of new viewers, listeners, whatever you want to call it during the Big Four pay-per-views. This is the most honest TNA review you're going to find. Some would say a little bit negative. It's the most honest review you're going to find. It is a no-mark zone. It is honest. I say what's good. I say what's bad. I have no problem. I don't care if I piss people off in TNA. I don't care if I piss off wrestling journalists, other podcasters. I really don't give a shit. I do what I do, and that is cover TNA in the most honest way possible. This is Slammiversary. Mixed reactions online, as we always seem to get with the Big Four shows. So I think the TNA Plus shows are a little more beloved with the wrestling audience, or the internet audience, I should say. You know, everyone we see on social media. It's a little bit more beloved. I don't know why I got this around my neck. I need that for my business. Because I think the TNA Plus show is a little more predictable. And I think it does everything that we're expecting it to do. They play it safe a lot of times. And it's a little easier to digest when they play it safe, even though I don't like safe. But it's a little easier to digest. They did a couple things here, which I have been imploring them to do for a long time. I have been asking, take a chance. Don't be so concerned with sending the crowd home happy at a pay-per-view. You know, in the years I've been doing this, I can probably count on one hand, maybe even one finger, how many times the heel won in the main event. You know, Slammiversary last year, I did not enjoy that show. That was one of the shows where we started getting some of the bigger crowds and people were excited. It was in Canada, and the whole show was about kissing the fans' asses, kissing PCO's ass, and all that. And I just didn't like it. Putting the belt on Nick Nemeth when no one was asking for it. You know, I thought this was a much better show. I enjoyed it. I had no real beef with it. I might have a couple small complaints here or there because that's just what I do. You know, I kind of point out the things that I don't like, but you know, for the most part, I was okay with the show. I was enjoying it. The issue was Trick Williams winning in the main event. You know, obviously JC Jane winning the title as well. People are complaining about the booking, but this is a much healthier relationship, folks, than the AEW one. Much healthier. You got to keep that in the back of your mind and kind of trust the process a little bit and trust where they're going to try to take it and where they're going with it. Maybe it is leading towards I mean, I don't want to see it. I know a lot of fans do, like TNA versus NXT pay-per-view. I'm not necessarily interested in that. That would basically mean the entire TNA roster becomes baby faces, which, I mean, I can see that. It's almost all baby faces as it is. They've done all but switch the system over to baby faces, even though they were just calling Sami Callihan a fat piece of shit on the show a couple days ago, but they've seemed to kind of transition to a baby face. So, you know, maybe that's where they're going. I don't want to see that personally because it starts becoming an invasion type of deal, and that's never been done well. So I hope that they don't do that, even though it kind of seems that's the direction they're going. I would like for them not to, but we just got to trust whatever they have planned for us. Now, for me, I thought it was the right time to put on Mike Santana. We'll get into the main event a little bit later. I just don't like Trick Williams. That is it. I don't understand the whoop that trick when it's directed at his opponent, but he's Trick. And I've used this example before, and I'm not trying to recycle jokes, but it's like saying I'm gonna beat that pussy, and then my name is Pussy Magoo. I don't get it. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's like when the New Day had the Bootio cereal. And like, it's to make sure you're not booty. And I'm like, but you're eating the booty. You're eating the O's. You're eating the booty O's. You are booty. You know, like shit in wrestling just doesn't make sense to me sometimes. Maybe I am overthinking it. I don't know, whatever. But we'll get into the main event a little bit later. This was my first time betting on TNA. I consider myself a bit of a professional sports bettor, and I went 2 for 5 tonight, so I wasn't very happy. I did lose money on this. I only got Elegance Brand and Leon Slater correct. I went against my gut when obviously the Hardys were going to win. The Hardys don't lose in TNA. I don't know what I was thinking. The betting favorites were First Class, and I gave in and I chased that. And I'm actually upset at myself because if I would have hit that, then I would have come out on top for the night. So not very smart on my end, but it is whatever. Let's get into Slammiversary. Let's get into the show. It did start off with a pre-show and a panel. It was hosted by Queen of Slippers and Socks, Gia Miller.
Jesus Christ, that's perfect. Of course you're here right now.
Old Jesus Feet herself. Everyone's favorite, who needs some TV time, Tommy Dreamer.
Ah, so you come crawling back, you cheap sack of shit.
The biggest mark in the podcast landscape, Dave LaGreca.
Hello, my name is Mark.
And then some dude from Skid Row. I say some dude. I guess I'm probably supposed to absolutely know who the guy is. I don't. I thought his interactions were very awkward. But they do this panel thing. WWE has done it. I think this is the second time TNA has done it. It's basically the same people were on the panel. I think they had Mark Henry last time, who clearly knew nothing about TNA or watched the show, but they had him on there. It's fine. It's a good way of previewing the shows and all that. It's the pre-show has come a long way from here's a free match of the Deaners versus Triple XL now by the pay-per-view. Yeah. So it's come a long way. However, I didn't think this pre-show was very good. I thought the main show was nice. It's very nice. Why did I call it nice? Have I ever said something? Oh, it was just a nice show. I didn't think the pre-show was very good. It kicked off. Your ring announcer is Mackenzie Mitchell.
Ding bong, ding dong, hit Stone Cold Aye.
She looked incredible, by the way. It's kicked off with the Knockouts tag team titles on the line. The challengers were the Inspiration.
I am iconic.
And they took on the team of the Elegance brand, Ash by Elegance.
Come on, Teddy. Come on, Teddy.
And Heather by Elegance.
He has an erection.
Yeah. It's all her fault.
Look, I thought this match was fine. I correctly predicted that the Elegance brand was going to win because I expected a lot of title changes on the main card. And I was just saying to myself, I don't think they are going to change that many, every single title. So to me, this was just a safe one of keep it on the Elegance brand, cheat to win. Inspiration will get their rematch and get the belts. So that's basically where they're going to go with it. It's a pretty wrestling 101. I'm all good with Elegance brand remaining the champions. They had a moment later in the show, production snafu, which, it's death, taxes, TNA production snafus at pay-per-views, right? That's just how it is. Everything was pretty flawless on the show, except for the Elegance brand getting ready to cut a backstage promo. They went to them before production was ready, and you hear them count them in at 3, 2, 1, and all of a sudden they get into character. So that kind of went relatively viral on social media. But it's just a guarantee at every TNA show. Something like that's going to happen. I don't know what to tell you. Just expect it each and every time. So I thought the match was good. The Inspiration, I put this out on Twitter that it actually amazes me that WWE cast them aside like they were nothing, like they were jobbers, because they've been really good. This is their second run in TNA. They've been pretty good. They're in sync. Their matches are fine. The promos are very good. They look phenomenal. They're a good act. So it's crazy they just cast them aside, because they do come off like big stars on the show. They're going to win the titles, folks. Don't even trip. Don't worry. They're going to win the titles. And then, I pointed this out on my Impact review. Hometown Man wrestled Judas Icarus, and I thought it really stood out like a green hat with an orange bill. And I said, are they going to squeeze Eric Young versus Hometown Man on the pre-show? Yes, they are. Eric Young.
Who the heck are you?
What are you talking about? I'm Santa Claus.
No, you're not.
Why, of course I am.
And his opponent, of course, was your favorite, Hometown Man.
Everyone in this room is now dumber.
And I mentioned on my review, I am coming around on Hometown Man. Every time he comes on the screen, I may hate him in a month. I probably will. But right now, I guess there's a place for it on the show as long as they don't overdo it too much. But I'm not totally offended by the gimmick at this moment. However, he has beat Judas Icarus and he beat Eric Young here. So feud over, right? The babyface won, feud over. He's beat 2/3 of the team. I think they're just going to continue to wrestle because they're trying to get Eric Young to unmask him. I don't think anyone cares that much, but that's what they're going to do. And then they had a backstage segment. They did the same exact thing on Impact like 2 weeks ago, where Eric Young was telling the Northern Army basically to get their shit together. This is the second time they've done it. This Northern Army, to me, is a failed experiment. When Josh Alexander was the head, I thought it had some potential. But now that Eric Young is in charge, I think it's a huge bomb. And I compare them to Ali with the good hands I compare Ali in the good hands to Eric Young and the Northern Armory, and you see the difference between the two teams and what Ali has been able to do for them as opposed to what Eric Young has done for them. So yes, Hometown Man gets the win. The next match we had, what a waste of our fucking time. We had the TNA International Champion, so no title match on the card, mid-card title. Everyone's excited about it. He's won the title and barely been on TV since, but he is Steve Macklin.
I do the ass kicking around here.
Wait your turn, jarhead.
And for whatever reason, his tag team partners were Mance Warner,
Outlaw Mud Show garbage wrestler,
and Jake something, a.k.a. Naked Jake.
You mind if I slip into something more comfortable?
Their opponents for this, representing top rope, third rope, fourth rope, whatever the hell the name of this promotion is, Zilla Fatu, Josh Bishop, and Real One.
Crack is whack.
The promo that he cut before the match was longer than the match. I have no issue with this dude being on the show. He's a big personality. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with guys that you can recognize him on the street. I'll walk right past Josh Bishop, even though he looks like a knockoff of Sid Vicious. I don't know why. I'll walk right past that dude. You know what I mean? But Real One, I know who that is. So I'm okay with guys who just stand out. It was always a matter of time till he ended up in TNA. I don't know what to tell you. He is what TNA loves. Someone who has a WWE name and comes over and completely recycles their gimmick 100%. Shout out to Dirty Dango. Shout out to Big Con. Shout out to Rhino. You see what I'm saying? So they're okay with it. They love people like that. When I say he recycled his WWE gimmick 100%, I mean 100%, 101, 10%. There's nothing different about this dude other than his name. So, yeah, that's right up TNA's alley. But the promo was brutal. He even got to Jake something and was like, I got nothing for you. And that's probably a shoot. You know what I'm saying? Because I've talked about Jake something for so long now where I'm like, the ship has sailed on the dude becoming a star. In the company, he personally has done nothing to grow his character on screen. He's just a dude on the roster. I'm actually shocked they brought him back up after his injury. We had high hopes for him at one point. The ship has sailed, and that's that. I am confident saying that ship has sailed. He is not going to get to that level that we thought he could potentially get to. But the promo was longer than the match. If you blinked, you missed the match. I mean, it was very quick, and I don't see how that would do anything to convince someone to buy the show. There was I think at one point 24,000 people watching the pre-show. That is a big jump from 2,000 people watching the Deaners a couple years ago. You know what I'm saying? So they've come quite a long way. Let's get into the main card of Slammiversary. The first match, I think it was a good match to kick it off with. I thought it was going to be the match of the night. To me, it wasn't. But we had on one side Mustafa Ali.
If you vote for me, all of your wildest dreams will come true.
And his opponent, which I believe this is his first match for TNA, Cedric Alexander.
My name is Optimus Prime.
I thought the match under-delivered a little bit. I did think it was very good. I don't know why, I expected this to just blow the roof off, and I don't really think it did. And I'm not even positive they're going to continue to wrestle at this point. I don't know what they're going to try to do, because I think the Order 4 is going to feud with the System here soon. So I don't know if they're going to be like, hey, Cedric Alexander got his win, Babyface won the feud, and they're going to move on. I don't really. No, I'm sorry. I am tripping here. I'm so sorry. Cedric Alexander did not win this match. Mustafa Ali won the match. I am totally tripping on that one. I was going with who I thought was going to win. So I was wrong. That was the one match that I didn't have the balls to bet on, because I really wasn't sure what they were going to do. So my bad. Mustafa Ali actually wins this thing. But I thought it delivered a little bit. The moment of the night was, what is the name of that move? I've got it in my notes here. Moment of the night was him hitting the lumbar check, right? On Tasha Steelz. She goes in the air a good 3 or 4 feet. That was a great visual. It definitely popped me at the house. Like it got a reaction out of me. But there was a theme on this show. This was probably my biggest gripe with the show. Everyone kicking out of everyone's finishers. I get it. It's pay-per-view. You sprinkle that into your show. 7 finishers kicked out of. And it's weird that it's an odd number, because usually someone kicks out of a finisher, the next finisher is getting kicked out as well in the match. The main event only had 1 finisher kicked out of. I have such a problem with that, especially in the opening match. Cedric Alexander just got here. We're kicking out of the lumbar check. And kicking out of Ali's 450 splash in the first match of the show. Half this roster needs new finishers after this freaking pay-per-view, I swear. But the thing is, when you kick out of the first finisher, I think it was the 450 that was kicked out of first. That is a near fall that you're like, holy shit. Like, you only get one of those in a show. Someone kicking, you got to save kicking out of a finisher to a match that really, really matters. But typically in wrestling, if one guy kicks out of the finisher, the opponent is also going to kick out of their finisher. So that near fall basically means nothing, because once you get to that point, they're going to kick out. All right. Every kick out on this show surprised Tommy had a finish. Oh, I mean, this fool he thought every single pin on the show was winning the match. But it was good. Like I said, it was good. It was like a solid 4-star match. Shout out Dave Meltzer. But did it steal the show like I thought it was going to? Not really. I thought it started off a little slow, and there was a lot of involvement from the outside. So Cedric Alexander loses his first match, and this is the beginning of the theme of everyone kicking out of everyone's finishers. Next match on the card featured the babyface System. I'm talking King of the White People, Eddie Edwards.
Ooh, I'm white.
JDC.
These are spirit fingers, and these are gold.
And of course, Brian Myers.
What is she going to think when she comes in here? Oh, look, he's got a billion toys.
They were partnered up with Matt Cardona.
It's like you don't care about this company at all.
No fucking shit, I don't care about this company. Why, this is just an ATM to me.
Their opponents representing NXT, Dark State, a.k.a. Job State.
Who?
Dark State, a.k.a. Job State. I put this out on Twitter. If any of you, not to disrespect, man, if anybody knows the names of all 4 of these guys and can recognize them by face, like, you have way too much time on your hands. It is just one of the most interchangeable teams I've ever seen. I think it's like 2 black guys, 2 white guys, but I mean, I just would not recognize them on the street. I surely would not know their name. I think one guy's name was Sugar in My Shoes. But what stood out to me was here was the baby faces that were the System. They came out slapping hands. Remember, Moose just called Sami Callihan a fat piece of garbage 4 nights ago, whatever it was. Now they're slapping hands with the fans. I mean, it wasn't even a slow transition. This was like the Rascals babyface turn last year where they're just heels, and then one day they just show up slapping hands, and it's like, oh, okay. That's kind of what happened here with the system. There's no dissension. They were getting along with Matt Cardona. This is the match that makes people think they're doing some kind of like NXT versus TNA thing, which I have no interest in that personally. But if that's where they go, that's where they go, and we got to rock with it. But I feel like I got this hair on my nose. It's one of those things. I see it on my nose, but I can't grab it. It's pissing me off. Anyway, the match was pretty quick and painless. Eddie Edwards ends up with the Boston D Party. I call it the D Party because he missed the knee and gave him a face full of nuts instead. But that was the finish. As they're walking away, this Sugar Shane Mosley guy he yells, "We'll be back." No. Please do not come back. You knock off of the Nexus Shield freaking group. Do not come back. Please don't. But they said they're coming back. Blech. After this, business picked up a little bit. We had Tessa Blanchard.
Oh, I don't like this. That if the Nuggets don't win this.
Her opponent was Indy Hartwell.
How long did it take you to learn English once you got here?
It was really easy because we speak English in Australia, you fucking idiot.
This is the one from a booking standpoint. Initially, I had an issue with. I don't think Indy Hartwell should be beating Tessa Blanchard. But as I've said, I'm very confident that they want Indy Hartwell to challenge for the title at Bound for Glory. Hannafin, Telegraph, and Tom has all but said that. They even interviewed after the match, and she was alluding to the fact that she was going to, establish herself as the number one contender. I thought the match was very good overall, and I keep giving props to Indy Hartwell because she came over to TNA. She is committed. She has rebranded herself, aside from her name. And I thought it was a good match. Everyone has good matches with Tessa Blanchard. They did the "She's a Racist" chant, and I would love to hear from people who were there because I've given my opinion many times that at the one show I went to, I just felt fans were just trying to be part of the show rather than having genuine hatred for her. I think that chant is going to follow her, but I don't think as many people believe it as the internet wrestling community would make you believe. But, overall, I thought it was a good match. They're kicking out of finishers again. Much like Cedric Alexander, Indy Hartwell just got here. Is her finisher Hurts Donut or Hurts Donut? Because Hurts Donut, I'm okay. Like a question, Hurts Donut. That's what it sounds like when Hannafin says it. When Ray Wall says it, it sounds like Hurts Donut, which sounds very stupid. So I need some clarification on that. But anyway, Indy Hartwell just got here. We're kicking out of her finisher. We're kicking out of Tessa Blanchard's finisher. Which Hannafin, no one's kicked out of Magnum since she returned to TNA. She's been here like half a year. So, again, kicking out of their best moves. Once the first kick out happens, see when she kicked out of Hurts Donut, I'm going to say Donut because that's a better name to me. When Tessa kicked out of that, and then she went for Magnum later, I was like, she's not kicking out of Magnum. And she does. And then ultimately, Indy Hartwell wins this thing. This was my moment of the night, though, folks. I have been asking for this since December, January, whenever Tessa Blanchard showed up. I have been asking for this. Lean into the bully thing. If you think she's a backstage bully, make her a freaking bully on screen. And I've been saying, whoop Gia Miller's ass. If you've been listening to me on a regular basis, I've said that many times. I also said they're probably not going to do it, but I've been saying whoop Gia Miller's ass. And that's kind of what happened here. She attacks Indy Hartwell after the match. Tessa Blanchard, while Gia Miller is interviewing her. Gia tries to get Tessa off, and Tessa Blanchard lays her out. And then she took over to the steel steps and was like rubbing her face. That was very fake. So it was like, man, I liked it, but I wanted more. I was hoping that Victoria Crawford was going to hold Indy Hartwell back temporarily before security got there. And Tessa just, lays into her with forearms or a knee to the stomach. Just something brutal. it could have been a real holy shit moment if she just really beat the fucking tar out of her. They were kind of going that direction, and then they pulled back and they played it safe. But I thought Gia Miller did it very good in her role, to where she was like, came off like she was crying, like she was hurting, you know? Ray Wall, who, you know, flip-flops between heel and babyface depending on the match, was totally beside himself on this, but he's a heel 2 matches earlier. So, I mean, you know, anyway, I thought it was well done. I thought it was a good piece of business. I thought it was very effective, but I wanted more. I really did want a little bit more, because you're only going to get that shock factor once. And, you know, like I said, if she would have a couple of knees to the gut or something, man, that would have fucking hit. That would have been nuts. But, you know, I still thought it was, you know, relatively well done. And then, you know, they're backstage and Santino gets involved. And, man, Santino is just so counterproductive to this show. You're trying to take this show serious, as, you know, they're trying to build to being like the number 2 or being a close number 2 or whatever. You know, like TNA has high aspirations. I think Santino is very counterproductive to what they're doing. At least here he cursed and it wasn't goofy, but I mean, he got goofy later in the show, and he, you know, Tessa Blanchard has been suspended. It's like you're taking a moment that really could have hit, really could have been, you know, something special, and you just throw Santino's bad comedy into it. Man, I mean, the whole just director of authority is so fucking cheesy, but he's becoming he was more annoying for me, but now I just feel like he's counterproductive, and I just can't take it seriously when 2 people are having a grudge match in a feud and one of them says, I'm going to go talk to Santino and make it official. It's so hard to take it seriously. But yeah, good piece of business. Let's move on. Folks, I thought this was the match of the night. I know many of you probably say, oh, well, Moose and Leon Slater. The reason this was my match of the night is because I was very invested in who was going to win here. I found myself pretty emotionally invested in it. It's like, I'm not the biggest Masha fan, but she's also our champion as TNA fans, and we don't want the title to go over to NXT, you know? So I was very much into this. Let's get into these sound bites real quick, and then we'll get into it a little bit further. But the NXT Women's Champion is JC Jane.
This is that group with George Michael.
And TNA Knockouts Champion is the Director of Waste Management, Masha Slamovich.
How do you like my garbage truck? This truck is in honor of Kamala and Joe Biden.
As I said, this was my match of the night. JC Jane is pretty good in the ring. If she has actually some star potential if she learns to talk a little bit better. She cut a promo on this past episode of Impact that I thought was so bad, so unbelievable, lacked any kind of confidence, no inflection in her voice, you know, didn't display a whole lot of charisma. I don't think she's like charismaless, but she just sounded like she was reading fake insults off a piece of paper. And then Masha came out, sounded like she was reading off a piece of paper. And I thought the whole exchange was terrible. So if she can tighten her game up a little bit, I think she has some star potential. But she's very good in the ring. Masha is obviously very good in the ring. And I was just, you know, I was invested in this. I think there was kickouts of the finishers. No. I don't believe that's one of the matches that happened. But I was pretty invested in this, and it had a shock finish. When I was doing my preview and talking about the betting odds, they were as confident Masha was going to win this match as they were that the Rascals were going to lose the tag team match. That's how the odds were shaping up. And I lost money on this one. That is for freaking sure. But JC Jane ends up winning this thing. She got in the camera and said, "How's that for a beatable champion?" I felt personally attacked by this because I've been calling her a beatable champion. And I doubt she listens to my show. So I'm sure that people on social media and other podcasts that she may come across or YouTube clips or whatever have been calling her a beatable champion. So this came out of freaking left field. This Fallon Henley, man, she's hotter than a $3 pistol, dude. I mean, Jasmine Nix is too. All 3 of them are. Let's be real. But yeah, that chick is she's got it going. but you know, most likely Masha's going to get the title back from her. They teased Ash and her having, you know, Ash by Elegance and JC Jane having a little something on the episode of Impact. I don't really want to see that match because they're both heels. But if the whole TNA side is going to start becoming baby faces, then, you know, maybe that's what they're doing. But that is an obviously heel gimmick that I don't want to see wrestle as baby faces. So it just, the more we look into this, the more it seems like they're going to try to do NXT versus TNA. TNA be the baby faces, overcome the heels. That's where it just feels like it's going. But I hope I'm just reading into it too much, because that is not what I want at all. But I did think, folks, that this was the match of the night. And it was two very good knockouts matches in a row. I will say that. I think it was definitely two good knockouts matches in a row. And then after this, another outstanding match. This was for the X Division Championship.
The limit does not exist.
And this featured two-time Grand Champion and X Division Champion Moose.
Damn you, Moose.
He took on Leon Slater.
Stay here. I'm in charge.
Do you feel in charge?
Very, very good match. Again, we're kicking out of finishers. We're kicking out of the Swanton 450. We're kicking out of the Spear. These aren't any finishers. This isn't kicking out of the Diener DDT. These are some of the most impactful finishers on the show. Everyone's kicking out of everything. So, again, I can do without that. I can absolutely do without that. But, you know, this was probably the match of the night for the majority of you. I thought they did a good job. You know, Leon Slater, good job of selling the back. And, you know, the main thing that kind of happened here, I felt they were going this direction, is that ultimately when Leon Slater wins, and by the way, I think they should have better marketed the two. I know they brought it up loosely, but we've been knowing that Leon Slater wanted to be the youngest X Division champion. But if they would have done a better job of marketing the match to where Moose also wanted to be the longest reigning X Division champion, like it was stated, loosely stated, but I think they could have made it more of a big fight feel if they focus on those two things. But they did at the end here what I was expecting with the way the night was going. Moose puts the X Division Championship on Leon Slater. I was expecting a handshake or something like that, and it was a babyface finish. She gave him his props after the match. So every single member of the system, again, Moose just called Sami Callihan a fat turd on the show. Every single member of the system, babyface on the show. Carlos Silva was at ringside for all these title matches on the main card. When he showed up for the Knockouts and NXT Women's Championship match, I was like, fuck, I think JC Jane might be winning, because I didn't see, I just felt like I didn't know what his involvement was. Now it's, I'm going to go in the ring and to present the title to the winner. I've got a question for you guys. How long until Carlos Silva is a character on the show? Because it's coming. It feels like it's coming. You know, I think he's doing very good work for the company. He's been a lot more aggressive in growing this company. The wrestlers seem happy. Remember when everyone was disgruntled, they were going to leave with Scott D'Amore? The wrestlers seem happy. I think he's doing a good job. I think the hat is goofy. I think he gives off Tony Khan vibes. For the most part, he is doing a very, very good job, and we can see it. We can feel it. I don't think he needs to be a character on the show, but it seems like they're going that direction. You know, so we'll see, but I'm pretty sure that's what they're doing. But he was in the ring for this as well, and Leon Slater is the X Division champion. And then the music hits, and it is AJ Styles. And we were wondering, what's AJ going to do here? What is his role going to be in the show? I think most people, including myself, kind of expected him to show up at the end, just because we're kind of hoping he's going to wrestle a match. I don't think he is. I don't think he is going to risk injury for TNA. You know, if he wrestles at Bound for Glory, awesome. If they announce, if he was going to wrestle Bound for Glory, though, I think they would have announced it tonight. And if he does wrestle Bound for Glory, they're going to have 10,000 people in the crowd. I'm confident in saying that. They're going to break their records. I don't think he is, though. I don't think he is going to risk injury to wrestle in TNA. And maybe that's just me trying to be too much of a realist. Maybe I need to be a little bit of a mark and just just hope it happens, wish it happens. I don't know. But he came out here, cuts a very long speech, and I was thinking to myself, man, I understand they wanted to promote this, to sell tickets and all that, and to generate buzz and to sell pay-per-views. Can you imagine if he would have just shown up unannounced? He would have blown the roof off the place. He got a loud pop, but he didn't get the pop I thought he was going to get because people were expecting him. You know, he didn't get like the Hardy pop. The Hardy's pop was louder than AJ's, but AJ still got a loud pop. He came and said the lights are a little brighter, the crowd is a little louder. Like, you know, he's acknowledging the growth of TNA, and you know, compared to when he was there, obviously wrestling in front of 250 people in Orlando. So TNA has come a long way since then. I get and just to get away from AJ for a second, people have always asked me, do you think TNA is going to get back to the point where they have thousands of people in the crowd? And I always confidently said no. And it's wild that we have gotten back to this point. You know, and as I said, my wife doesn't really care for TNA. She watched probably the last third of it with me. She was out of town, so I mean, she flew in and then she watched some of the show with me. She was shocked how many people were in the crowd, because the last time she attempted to watch with me, there was, you know, a couple hundred people. The production quality looked like shit, and she just said she can't watch that, you know, and so she was pretty shocked by the growth of it. But TNA, AJ Styles, as being who he is and who he is to TNA, for him to come in and put Leon Slater over, I thought was a good use of AJ and his presence. And, you know, I think he enjoyed being there. I think that was a cool moment for him. I don't know that Leon Slater is going to be the face of TNA. They thought Josh Alexander was going to be, and what's he doing, you know? I don't know that Leon Slater is going to be. But we might look at Leon Slater in 3 or 4 years from now, and he's like a bona fide stud. No, bona fide main eventer for this company, big star. Like, it's very, very possible. He's got all the tools. It's just a little hard for me to imagine it right now, but it doesn't mean that doesn't happen. I never imagined, you know, Cody Rhodes would be at the top of the WWE when I first saw him. So, you know, it's extremely possible. I thought it was a good use of AJ personally. Maybe some of you wanted more. It almost felt like he was going to challenge him for the X Division Championship. But again, I just don't think he's going to wrestle for TNA. If he does, tremendous. But yeah, but my big takeaway is Moose basically being a babyface here. Okay, let's move on. We got a couple more matches to go. The other one was for the TNA Tag Team Championships. Man, I can't find my soundbite. Let me do a quick search. Here we go. This match was defended in a ladder match.
Lazy booking.
I'm giving it the lazy booking, but by the end of the show, I was happy. By the end of the match, I was happy that's where they went with it. So the teams involved with this were First Class, consisting of Big Boom, AJ Francis, and Casey Navarro.
Help! He's got a boner!
We had the Hardys.
Wonderful!
My name is Jeff.
And then, of course, we had the Rascals.
In one word, would I use dope? Nope.
I got a good Myron Reed soundbite whenever the opportunity arises. I didn't want to put it in here, but I got a good one. And then the TNA Tag Team Champions, we had Nick Nemeth.
I've been talking to people walking here. We've been talking about next year, and I'm sitting there saying, I'm not going to be here.
And his brother, Ryan Nemeth.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
They made it a point to say it was his first ladder match. After on the show, he said he'd been more into ladder matches than everyone in the match combined. So I foolishly put my money on First Class here, thinking this was going to be one of the swerves of the night. Never bet against the Hardys. My God. I mean, seriously, I am so embarrassed in doing that. Like, they're not going to have First Class beat the Hardys. I know Hardys it's not a match where they're taking a pin, but just foolish of me. Hardys always win. The Hardys only lose when Matt Hardy's wrestling as a solo act. Other than that, you know, the Hardys are going to win. At first I thought, okay, are they always going to defend this fucking title on a ladder? You know, there was a lot of pretty wild spots here. I'm not a spot monkey type of dude, but there was a lot of moments here, especially AJ Francis. I cannot believe he went. Well, first of all, his moonsault off the ladder. I hope that makes the rounds on Twitter for all these people that are so obsessed with calling him Flop Dollar. But when he fell off the ladders and went feet first into the ladder, the ladders that were laid on the outside, and just caught a nut shot from the rungs, like, whew. So they were done for the match there. I knew at that point my money was down the toilet because I said first class is not getting up from that. So, long story short, at the end of this, they're out of ladders. Jeff Hardy grabs some kind of Xbox controller, and releases a ladder from the ceiling. It's the kind they have in the movies from the helicopters. I'm looking at this ladder. I'm like, dude, there's no ways anyone can climb up that thing. I almost thought the Nemeth were going to win because Ryan Nemeth's like a stuntman. So I was like, I'm pretty sure he could climb that thing. But it was a good moment. It was adding something different to the ladder match. We've just seen it all in ladder matches. It was adding something very, very different. Ultimately, the Hardys do climb it. Jeff climbs it. Matt definitely could not climb that thing. He would, we would still be waiting for him to climb if he was doing it. But Jeff ultimately climbs this thing. He grabs the titles. They are the champions. Again, cannot believe I didn't put my money on this, especially because they were at plus odds. I am a fool. After this, the music hits, and we get Bully Ray. And he's by himself. He is not with Devon. Bully Ray comes out. We already feel like we know where this is going. I think it's so Bully Ray could once again claim he was part of the biggest TNA crowd ever. That's especially now if he wrestled at Bound for Glory. Everyone was saying, okay, well, Bully Ray can't say it anymore. Well, he is going to continue to now. So he was part of this show. Bound for Glory, I think, is going to outdraw this. And Bully Ray is going to claim it. So my wife was sitting here like, is this guy going to shut up? I mean, he really sucked the life out of the room because he went on way too long. We kind of knew where it was going, but it took forever to get there. And he made the challenge at Bound for Glory, Team 3D versus the Hardys. It would have been a lot more effective if Devon was out there. If they would have had a little stare down. Oh my God, woo! I'm up early today, folks. Oh man, I was up at 4 o'clock because I got to do work for my business first on Mondays, and then doing this podcast. So, and I went to bed at midnight. So, man, I'm a tired one today. My work days are like 9 hours too, so it's gonna be a long day for me. But anyway, even my wife, like I said, was saying, "When's this guy gonna shut up?" I just thought that if Devon was with him and they didn't even say a word and they just would have stared at each other, they would have hit us with the "This is awesome" chant. Tom Hannafin would have blown his load in his pants, and I thought it would have been a better moment. But I thought the delivery of this whole thing was boring, and I don't think it was as effective as they wanted it to be. But at Bound for Glory, we're going to see a bunch of old guys have a match. It's probably going to be, I don't think it's going to be one fall to a finish. I think it's going to be Full Metal Mayhem. But we're going to get the Hardys versus Team 3D. So I guess that's a big deal. You know, but Bully Ray did some pretty good work for TNA in his little run. So that is what we're getting. And then we go after this, the match, the main event. I don't got my Hannafin soundbite for this one, but we go to the main event. But prior to this, they are getting, they're going to the TNA panel. Excuse me. Frankie Kazarian comes out. Frankie Kazarian is PCO at this point. They're just going to get him on the show, whether he's on the card or not. And it's fascinating how they always find a way to I can't even say this. It is fascinating the way they always find a way to shoehorn him into the main event, whether it's pay-per-views, whether it's the episodes. This fool he's been with TNA for probably a year and a half now. He feuded with Eddie Edwards. He had a little feud with Leon Slater. I guess like a little one with Joe Hendry. But for the most part, he hasn't had any real feuds. He's just there. And as I said, he's the uncrowned TNA world champion because someone probably promised him a title reign. And because this current regime doesn't want to deliver on that, they are just finding ways to appease him. And he's just involved in the main event scene even when it doesn't make any sense. So he is on commentary. He is also king of the block party.
The block party. I'm not playing with y'all, bro.
And in the main event, we got, first of all, this is for the TNA World Championship. We got the challengers, Joe Hendry, a.k.a. Brother Love Handles. We got Mike Santana.
That's nasty.
And then the TNA World Champion, Trick Williams.
How about a magic trick?
Whose entrance took absolutely forever. So let's just fast forward here. Good match, kicking out of finishers, whatever. Trick Williams wins this thing. Has there ever been a triple threat in the history of wrestling that did not end this exact way, where someone hits a finish, go for the pin, and then they get screwed, like someone rolls in and throws them out of the ring? When Trick Williams faked an injury on the outside, I knew at that point he was winning. I knew exactly what the finish was going to be. And, man, again, as I said, I have challenged TNA to not worry so much about sending the fans home happy and to just take a chance. I wish this was not the chance, but take a chance and then, tell a story from there. But Trick Williams wins this thing. He is going to continue to be the NXT champion, the TNA champion. And I don't really want him to be champion to Bound for Glory, but that's probably where they have Mike Santana beat him. As I said at the top of the show, I thought this was his moment. It's in New York, and it probably felt pretty predictable because they were in New York, but I thought it was time for him to finally get there. There was a lot of momentum behind him. I think Joe Hendry has cooled off significantly. I know him and Mike Santana are going to wrestle on the next episode of Impact, the live one. I hope they're just getting it out of the way and then find something else for Joe Hendry to do, because at this point, I think he's done. I think the flame is out. And now we focus on Mike Santana, who they've always wanted to focus on, probably ultimately get that title at Bound for Glory. So I'm going to wrap it up here. It is the exact time that I was hoping I'd wrap up. So I'm going to wrap it up so I can get ready for work and take care of my 7 cats and my dogs and all that. So that's going to do it for me for your Slammiversary review, folks. We'll be back to talk about the live episode of Impact next week. So thanks for tuning in. I'm your boy, BQ, and I'm out. Peace. I said peace.